And I'm delighted to be here to talk about sustainable research today because it is something that I believe passionately in, as does Ana Alvarez from PepsiCo, who has co-created this approach with me in Brazil. So we're delighted to be able to share this with you. And one of the reasons that this was stimulated actually was because Pepsi, like many other companies, has a particular approach that they're looking to pursue within the company, which they call performance with purpose. And everyone was challenged with how they could bring this to life. And Anna really didn't know how she could do this within the research and insight function. And it was something that MESH was already starting to look at, so it seemed an ideal opportunity for us both to work on this. The other thing that was coming together at this time was a real need to understand the emerging middle classes. And I think this isn't just in Brazil and Latin America, but I think this is for very many clients in very many parts of the world at the moment. And they are a difficult area to research amongst, so this was another factor. But the big question is, how can we conduct research in an appropriate way with these people? And maybe we should leave behind some of the old approaches that we've looked at and start afresh with what we think is the right approach for this. So we wanted to create a more equal relationship between client, participant, and agency. We wanted something different there. We also wanted to make sure that this was very actionable. It wasn't just about something that was social. It needed to have an impact and be a change agent for Pepsi. And of course, it was something that was pushing market research up the corporate agenda. So we created the sustainable research ecosystem that you can see here with MESH, PepsiCo, and our customer network communities. MESH is very much the forward partner with the communities so that they're not aware that this work is for PepsiCo, or we felt that we might bias the results. So there were a couple of things that were really important to us in sustainable research when we were setting this up. The first was that we needed to give back long term, and you'll see how we're doing that in a few moments. And the second was that this needed to be based on research rather than marketing principles. So we weren't just trying to get PepsiCo's name into the communities so people would buy more fizzy drinks. What we wanted was to really understand these people's lives. Within this kind of framework that we created, where we went to community leaders and they helped us to find community members within their communities, we were able to use some of the latest technologies and methodologies. So these are three of the modules that we've used so far. Real-time experience tracking, which captures people's experiences with fizzy drinks in real time. Customer networks, which is a qualitative approach to understand decision-making, and a live meeting where we really brought members of the community close to the PepsiCo stakeholders so they could meet them face-to-face. And I've got a short video now which just tells you a little bit about the communities and the type of work that we're doing.
Participar, achei muito bacana. Nunca havia participado de pesquisa. E eu achei muito bacana que eu sabia qual era o fim, para que fim que era. Não era só pela marca, para consumir mais o produto, tinha um fim. E isso me estimulou bastante. Talvez que se tivesse sido só pela marca não ficaria tão estimulado.
So I hope that gave you a little bit of a flavour as to what we're doing with the communities in Brazil. And I have to say, for me personally, I get just a different feeling from doing this kind of work. MESH has traditionally done more quantitative work, although we do qualitative within the agency. But here we're getting really engaged with the communities. And I had a wonderful day, a Saturday actually, with the children who were going to their capoeira baptism. And we all went off in a coach, and they all had to parade in front of everybody else and get their certificates. And you really felt privileged to be a part of their lives and to understand what was going on in a very different way than you do when you just get numbers back or video footage. So what's the impact of this type of research? Well, the first thing is from the community's perspective, we're hoping that we're providing career opportunities, educational opportunities, and one of those you'll see is that we're looking to take interns from the communities into MESH so that they can learn about market research. And of course, you saw that sports fence that needed repair, and that's one of the areas that we are looking to help the communities with. For others, we're helping with providing manicure lessons so members of their communities can get a job. And in another one, we're providing money towards a recycling station. So for each project, there is remuneration going towards the community for community goals, which is what Patricia was saying, as well as to the individuals who are contributing to the research. And those are kind of improving the lives of the individuals in the community. From a MESH perspective, we actually get better data because these people are really engaged, we can work with them for longer, and we can find out more about their lives. So there's a real benefit to us from that. But what I'm about to talk about for the next 5 minutes is how PepsiCo is getting a deeper understanding of these people's lives and how that can impact on their marketing decisions. So this is about how we're taking this work to transform insight. And I think there are a couple of reasons why the insight is more transformative. One is that the members that we're working with for longer, and we're able to get deeper insight from them because of the type of work we're doing. And the other is that the PepsiCo stakeholders are coming into contact with these communities face to face. They're having conversations with them as opposed to just seeing charts with data. So I've just got 3 of the insights that we've been sharing with PepsiCo to give you an idea of what we're finding. So the first was that amongst shoppers for soft drinks, that they were not coming into contact with more traditional touch points like TV, radio, posters, but much more experiential touch points like consuming the product, going in store. And this just shows you this chart here. Everything in blue is a more experiential touch point, and everything in red is a more traditional touch point. And these are the percentage of people that are actually being reached by each of those different touch points. So you can see they really are the more experiential rather than traditional media touch points. And this bubble chart here illustrates that whilst TV is a big bubble, so it is reaching a fair number of the community, it's far less engaging than both a purchase and a consumption experience. And very interestingly, the purchase experience itself for these people is something that they look forward to. It's a trip out. They go with their friends. They enjoy that whole purchase experience. So that really makes you question how you should be communicating and through what channels you should be communicating. Perhaps not surprisingly, when you saw where the TV engagement was for this audience, we could see that brand advertising was actually missing the point for this particular shopper segment. And what we can see here on this chart is just the TV touch points. All of them, from brands A to C, are all below average on engagement, but brands B and C are doing a better job than brand A on this one. When we looked at the TV touch points, we could divide them into different types of touch points. So everything from brand advertising to retailer advertising. And the red part is retailer advertising. So we thought it'd be interesting to break up these bubbles and have a look at the difference between engagement on retailer and brand. And perhaps what was surprising is that retailer advertising is more engaging than brand advertising. So that starts to tell you something. And here we've got a comment. Usually we go there if we've seen advertising announcing promotions. We go for a different supermarket like Extra or Carrefour and take that promotion. So this is an audience that is really into the promotions and making the most of their money when they're going to shopping. This is different from when we look at the AB classes, and we can see from another study that we've done in Brazil that brand advertising is much more engaging for the higher social grades. And a third insight we have is that this particular group is spending a lot of time online, but when it comes to the fizzy drink touch points and the brands, we're just not seeing that. So we could see that a range of media touchpoints were being used by this sample. Actually, in Brazil, they are highly kind of literate when it comes to things like social media. It's the second largest Facebook country in the world. But this gives you an idea as to how people are using media here. And although we know that TV is still prevalent, so 85% are claiming to watch it every day, 46% of people are using the internet every day. So, you know, we're getting a lot of heavy internet usage. And they're using it for social media, they're shopping, and perhaps interestingly, they're also doing price research as well. And we saw how important retailer advertising was. But in spite of this, these are all our touch points. That little tiny sliver that you can see is the percentage of online touch points for fizzy drinks, which is very, very small. So this indicates to us that there's a really big opportunity. So when we presented some of these insights and others, we wanted to see what the impact had been with the PepsiCo stakeholders, because the general manager had said they wanted this research to be a change agent for PepsiCo. And here are 3 of the comments that came back. So one person said, "I've confidence to take action because of the numbers behind IIeX." So they'd kind of had hunches about what was going on, but now they could see numbers. Another person was interested, because we were speaking to them face to face, that they were much more normal than they thought. They were doing the same things that members of the PepsiCo stakeholders were doing. And a third one said, "I wish more than anything to make this pilot an ongoing project," which is obviously something that we're doing ourselves. So this was one pilot that happened last year, but it's actually had quite a lot of impact already. The first, which we were really delighted about, is the industry recognition that it received. And it was nominated for an Innovation Award and for the President's Award at the Market Research Society conference. So we were delighted about that. I think from Anna's perspective as well, this starts to bring market research into a different perspective within PepsiCo. So she spoke at a 3-day summit about sustainability, where she got a slot in on market research, which typically wouldn't have had a slot on the corporate agenda. And then within the PepsiCo Global Insight team, we actually got interest from the global team, and they want to now start to have a look at how they can make this a change agent in other places. So thank you very much indeed for listening to what we've been doing. We're looking now to expand this beyond PepsiCo, beyond Brazil, because we think this approach is very relevant in terms of how we can start to really understand the emerging middle classes, which are so important to the industry at the moment. So thank you very much indeed for your time.